Hello, I'm Kimberly Acosta. Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on Friday, February 5th. Many of the stories you hear here can be found at our website, IndianCountryNews.com, or you can check out IndianCountryTV.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Self-help guru James Arthur Ray says it was all a tragic accident when his followers began collapsing one by one in a sweat lodge at his retreat, with 3 of them dying. It's unfortunate as the ordeal was, he says the participants knew about the risks the ceremony presented. Prosecutors say it's a blatant case of manslaughter by a man who recklessly crammed dozens of people in a 400-square-foot sweat lodge and chided them for wanting to leave, even as people were vomiting, getting burned by the hot rocks, and lying lifeless on the ground. The 2 sides will be on display in coming months, now that prosecutors have charged Ray with manslaughter in a case that could send him to prison for more than 35 years. The 52-year-old Ray said nothing during his first court appearance on February 4th, and his lawyer entered a not guilty plea. Ray remains in Arizona jail on a $5 million bond. The Federal Communications Commission has been trying to figure out a way to increase the amount of media voices available to Native Americans. It now has adopted an order establishing a priority for American Indian tribes and Alaska Native villages, proposing FM allotments on tribal land, as well as those submitting AM and non-commercial educational FM filing window applications for stations on their land. In addition to some of the lowest levels of broadband internet services in the nation, American Indians and Alaska Natives have been largely invisible in the broadcasting industry on all levels, ranging from media access to control and ownership of broadcast facilities, stated the Native Public Media and the National Congress of American Indians. The Commission also seeks comments on further questions related to Native American radio. Though more than 1 million Native Americans and Alaska Natives live on 55+ million acres of tribal lands, tribes hold license only to 41 radio stations, according to the Commission. World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Famer Jack Briscoe, a former 2-time National Wrestling Alliance world title holder and National Collegiate Athletic Association heavyweight champion, and the man who discovered Hulk Hogan, passed away February 1st at the age of 68. Briscoe, one of the top wrestlers of his era and regarded as one of the most talented pure wrestlers in the history of the sport, died due to complications from open-heart surgery. The 2-time All-American was the first Native American to win an NCAA Wrestling National Championship. His lengthy program with then NWA World Champion Dory Funk Jr. in the early 70s is considered by many experts to be the gold standard for superior technical wrestling. Bill Murdoch, author of Briscoe, published in 2004, said that Briscoe set a standard for every champion on the mat or in the ring that was to follow. Both Jack and his brother Jerry were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2008. Philip Martin, a longtime chief of the Mississippi Band of Choctaw, passed away February 4th at a Jackson hospital with his family by his side after suffering a massive stroke a few days earlier. He was 83 years old. Martin's 28-year tenure saw the construction of an industrial park and the $750 million Pearl River Resort, complete with 2 casinos, a golf club, and a water park. He was praised for creating thousands of jobs. Plus, he also set up a scholarship that pays 100% of college costs for their tribal youth. First elected chief in 1979, Martin promoted economic development long before his casinos opened. Martin's influence reached beyond Mississippi as well. He was the first president of the Board of Regents of Haskell Indian Junior College, now Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, Kansas. He also served as the president of the National Tribal Chairmen's Association and president of United South and Eastern Tribes Incorporated. When Capitol Hill rolls out the red carpet for celebrity lobbyists, it gets Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, and Brad Pitt. But on February 2nd, Richmond, Virginia got Las Vegas crooner Wayne Newton, who blew into town on behalf of his Native American tribe. The Virginia-born tenor, wearing a high-flying pompadour and a pair of alligator-skin cowboy boots, set the town aflutter as he argued for the state's official recognition of the Potawatomis. Playing in the General Assembly building, what had to be one of the smallest venues of his career, Newton 67, described hearing stories from his grandfather about his Native American heritage and absorbing his appreciation for the culture. Both of Newton's parents were half Native American. His father was a Potawatomi and his mother was a Cherokee. Newton also displayed a picture of his grandfather in full feathered regalia and passed around a heavy green sash that bore what Newton called a peace medal his ancestors received from General George Washington. The recognition resolution, sponsored by House Speaker William Howell, would effectively bypass the process that 8 other tribes followed before gaining state recognition. The news about Louise Erdrich's latest novel, Shadow Tag, is that it's a departure from her previous work, and an exciting one. Erdrich is the author of 13 novels, 3 poetry books, a collection of short stories, 5 children's books, and 2 works of nonfiction for which she has received significant critical acclaim. She has received bestseller status as well, with works marked by beautiful language and sometimes complex sagas involving multiple narratives and generations, as well as Faulknerian sense of place. With the more straightforward Shadow Tag, which doesn't skimp on depth, characterization, or plot, Erdrich is likely to pick up even more readers, including the sort who admire the spare prose and contemporary urban settings of Lorrie Moore, Mary Robinson, and Amy Hamill. Readers will also be drawn to Shadow Tag's pacing, with nudge Erdrich's lyricism into thriller territory. While the writing is fiercely disciplined with a poetic polish, every line is unpredictable. Nashville's Bill Miller was the first Music City nominee to win a Grammy in 2010. His Spirit Wind North, released through Cool Springs Music Group, triumphed as the Best Native American Album. It was the second time that one of Miller's solo albums won in that category. His Cedar Dream Songs won in 2005. This album wasn't about hits or pop culture. It was about heritage that preceded the Europeans, Miller said. Nashville is a great place to spread my wings and fly into the business, and the Grammys is one of the greatest platforms for Native music. It means America is listening. And other wins in the night were the Black Eyed Peas, who had a heck of a haul during the 52nd Annual Grammy Awards, as the collective nabbed wins for their album The End, their record-breaking single I Got a Feeling, and the video for Boom Boom Pow. The Peas celebrated their wins with Best Pop Album, Best Pop Vocal by Duo or Group, and Best Short Form Video before they prepared for the launch of their world tour, which began February 4th in Atlanta, Georgia. Carrie Underwood also won her 5th Grammy Award this year. She's earned multi-platinum albums, a slew of #1 singles, and is getting ready to headline her 2nd sold-out tour. She's also had her own variety show, a guest role on the hit TV series How I Met Your Mother, and she's about to make her film debut starring in Soul Surfer opposite Helen Hunt and Dennis Quaid. Next up for Carrie is performing the national anthem before the Super Bowl on Sunday, February 7th. Then her tour kicks off in Reading, Pennsylvania in March. And that's the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and have a grand day.